excused. Cause you're always late, overweight, and totally rude, honey.
Are you guys ready? Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the Creatively Unworthy Podcast. I'm Christin.
I'm Larry, her father.
I'm Rebecca.
And with us today, a fantastic person. And with us today is Brad Hardcastle, fellow creative. Hello, Brad. Welcome.
How are you all doing? Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you've been busy.
Always.
Being creative.
Always keep myself busy. Yeah. Doing a lot of different things. It's been a great little journey this last year. I started podcasting with an app. I'm one of their content creators called Stereo. And it's the rival to Clubhouse, but it has its own twist because Christin, really, when it comes down to it, I feel I've always thought this. There was a day that I was sending those memojis to you, or the emoji from the iPhone, and you were like, you need to be doing this. Well, on this app, I am actually an avatar. That's awesome. That's a little cartoon of me. And it's just like, I've always thought like, oh, we manifested that because it was just so strange how it fell in place.
His avatar is so entertaining and so uplifting and encouraging. Every time he just sent them to me and I'd be like, thank you, send me another one. It's for some reason, it's so easy to take advice from a cartoon. I don't know what it is.
So does it animate your podcast?
No, the podcast. So it is animated, but it's the head that's animated.
That's cool. I should put us on Stereo. I've been putting these on YouTube. That sounds cooler.
We could try both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually do Anchor because it puts it on Spotify and then Apple Play and then something else, but like
right.
And then YouTube, but I don't know. I've never heard of that. That's awesome.
Well, so and also you can download those. You can download your talks and put it on other things. So
awesome. Nice.
And so on your podcast, you've been motivating humans, basically, right? Is that right?
Yeah, motivating. I talk about things from social commentary, LGBTQIA rights, and a history and life. I also talk about spirituality and coming into the idea of being every single person I see as a creative person. You know, as a creative person in general, I think that people just live their lives when you can live your life by design. And that idea is that every choice we make builds and creates our life, whether we go buy a house or get a nice new car or go take a class. All of those things add into the creation of us as the human artist.
The artist of our own lives.
Yes, exactly. We're all, if you think about it, we look at all of these like glamorous celebrities and we're so fascinated, not everyone, but people are fascinated with the celebrities that have all of these things and do all of these things that they've created and became this, I guess you could say like, icon, this thing that people are just so, so fascinated by. And it's the same thing with anyone. It's like, if you look at yourself as you are authentically your own version of a human artist, you're your own person. And that allows you to own who you are. And spiritually, I think that that's where we are supposed to be going, is spiritually, we're supposed to understand our lives and keep growing within who we are. So that's kind of what I'm trying to get people to see, is to live their life as much as possible right now, because every choice is going to make you. It can also break you, which is great about the adversities of life, because that's what helps you grow.
I really like that because, first of all, that's a really interesting opinion. And also we kind of not have the opposite opinion on that podcast, but we kind of have like a different version of that, where we think, I want to pass it off to you, Larry, because I know you have a lot to say, but it's kind of like we think that being creative is kind of like, what was that example that was really good? It is kind of like being an introvert, and not like everybody per se is an introvert or can live that kind of life. And that creative people often think everybody's creative because that's just how your brain's working and how you're perceiving everything around you. And when you take in all the possibilities, you're like, why can't everybody else see them? And so we kind of talk a lot about that, and how that a lot of people who might not be creative, like might not be an introvert, kind of bully creative people in the sense that they shut down your ideas a lot, and they don't really want you to, they want you to follow the straight and narrow path instead of like, go towards all possibilities. And we lost him. I hope you heard that. I'm gonna pass it off to you, Larry.
Nice going, Rebecca. You did it again.
I scared him away. I shouldn't have said anything. Dang.
No, you're great. I'm here. Let's do it.
Basically, I think it's like,
I'm just taking him.
Yeah.
It's like there's artists, and then there's bankers, and there's people that work at Ralph's. My take on it is, you can bag a bag of groceries creatively, or you can do it crappily and just throw the eggs at the bottom.
I feel like you're definitely in the middle of like the two.
I am in the middle of both of those thoughts. I think everyone has the potential to think creatively, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is such a difference as like some people just
kind of like
creative.
on a scale. I do think it's kind of like on a scale, like a spectrum. And that maybe during childhood, a lot of that gets stamped out by like definitely the school system.
An example is the school system, because the first thing that somebody, when they come into power who is not creative, the first thing they get rid of is the arts. And then the next thing they get rid of is, they don't get rid of sports, but they get rid of intramural sports. They keep the team sports, but they get rid of anything that they don't understand. And I think it's great to hear Brad, because he's almost untethered, where my life has been, I've been beaten so much the fuck up most of my entire life for, living a creative life, that I have to guard it, because whenever I've let my guard down, sometimes I'll be,
I'll try and shame you.
Well, I trust everybody, and I give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and that doesn't always work out, part of doing things that are creative, I think the luxury of it is it gives our life meaning. And what happens is somebody who lives their life, there's a counterpoint, like somebody who lives their life free of responsibility comes with a price, and that price is there's no meaning in their life, or there's not, if there's no responsibility, there's no meaning. And how do I want to explain
purpose?
No.
There's no purpose.
Well, I can
you know,
attest to that.
I mean-
because, I don't know. I feel very privileged with my life. Like, I don't have a lot of worries, and I don't know. That kind of creates an anxiety, because it's like you could sleep in all day, or you could wake up at 6 a.m. It's like nothing really changes for you. And
Well, and also there's
Yeah.
Brad,
it does feel meaningless a lot of
there's a
times.
cost that that comes with, see, I'm kind of getting off the topic. I don't want to get into what's meaningful, but things that you create that you believe are meaningful. Sometimes there's a sacrifice. And what I've noticed in living back in the US, Christin, don't wave that thing. It's just
Oh, I'm so hot. Sorry.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
But it's very distracting. It's like,
That's the ADHD part of the podcast.
no, just wave it down below.
I also
right
have
there.
this pen that is a what's it called? One of those things. I'll just hold this up while you're talking. No
Oh, okay.
distracting at all. Huh?
No, but I was trying to tie in what Brad said, but I'm doing a shitty job of it. It's like I see there's a price that comes with being creative, and you know, a lot of people don't want to pay. Like the really conservative person, they don't understand creativity, and they don't understand art, and they don't understand, you know, the value in that, the value of
They don't wake up in the middle of the night like in a sweat anxiety because they haven't finished their creative project, or they haven't got what is in their heart out, and because they don't need it. They're not, it's not their path. Like not everyone has that need to create.
What's that thing you said the other day, Larry? Like the people who see art as decoration versus like if you see a painting and you think it's really emotional and all that, instead of just something to put on your wall, it's like, oh my God, this piece is like.
An example of that is what we did at the end of World War II with the Monument Men. You know, we put together a group of curators that were civilians that literally followed the beachheads into Normandy and into Sicily to try and recollect the art that the Nazis had stolen. They'd stolen some of the greatest art in all of Europe, and Hitler wanted to take it. You know, they hid it actually in salt mines, in a lot of salt mines, and we didn't want anything for this, but we went and, you know, these guys risked their lives, and some of them got killed to try to repatriate that art.
Yeah.
And we did, and it's amazing. And you know, it was something that, you know, in a war, you know, you tell a commander, you know, don't bomb that church. Well, he has to make a decision. You know, there's a fresco that's 1,000 years old on one side, and there's 4 guys on the other. What's he going to do? Is he going to, you know, take out that church? So there was a lot of those kinds of decisions that had to be made, but yet there's something in our psyche that we need to have. Those Picassos and the Renoirs and the Van Gogh, we need that history because that's our human history. And what the Nazis were trying to do, and those kinds of that kind of evil, was to literally destroy it. You know, was to take it away from people. They thought of it as, you know, as decorative. I mean, anyway.
I have something to add to that.
Yeah.
Then we should ask Brad another question.
Yeah. I have some good stuff. Okay, so today I read this post. It goes right along with what you just said, Dad. As you binge watch your 13th entire series, or read a book, or listen to music, remember that in these darkest of days, when everything stopped, we turned to artists for comfort. That's like really cool. And it reaffirms, you know, the journey of living creatively as a creative person, making art, trying to bring beauty, something to help distract us from our human condition of suffering, basically.
Yeah.
If you're a human, chances are you've suffered at some point or another, or felt unworthy. And the artists, it's important. It's not a throwaway purpose. It's a good purpose because it brings joy to a lot of people, and it's worth pursuing. Which is, you know, Brad has been jumped full on into trying to, you know, make it work as a creative person on social media during the whole pandemic. So tell us a little bit about that.
And are you getting paid to do this? Have you made money doing it? Or
yes,
that's fantastic. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
How have
in chunks. In chunks. It's like moments. The more work I put into it, the more I get from it. So that's the thing. It's like sometimes, like right now, I've been taking kind of a break from all of that just because I've been putting everyone else before myself when it comes to family. Besides that, it's like it started out, you know, when I first started, I auditioned for something that got me into this role of a podcaster. And when I got in there at first, they were paying us hourly. So that was great. And then it went into monetization and other things. And then through that, I've been gotten opportunities. I have an agency out of New York as far as being a content creator online. I feel that I could be doing more, but I also feel that I have to honor myself and small, like slow and steady wins the race, girl. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
And like, I really think that that's like important to let go of any expectation and just to flow into it. When I was listening to everything you guys were saying, everything, I totally agree and on it, especially with Larry, everything he's saying. We need those Picassos. We need those Grenoirs. The thing that I'm trying to do is shift people's minds from just living this plain life, even the conservatives, because what I'm trying to get them to see is when they wake up in the morning and choose their breakfast, they're actually creating what they're going to eat. They're designing what they're going to have that morning. That's in every choice we make. You can look at it as just making a choice, or you can look at it in a bigger picture of what's that going to look like. And that's what moved me into this, was slowly realizing when I got this one opportunity. And when I first got the opportunity, I'll be honest, like I was dealing with a lot of inner demons of not believing completely in myself. Always knowing people around me is like, oh, you're amazing. I love you. You're everything. And like, you're an angel. I've heard so many amazing, great things that I'm very thankful for. It's just within me, I had so much pinned up fear in it of just going balls to the wall and being like, I can do this. And this is who I am. And I'm amazing. And, you know, and I keep that away from the ego space because I know I'm not trying to be like anyone else but me. And I want other people to own who they are. I heard earlier you guys were speaking about how there's creative types that actually are out there trying to say, oh, well, you're not creative. I hear that a lot on the podcasting, which this is the way everybody's like, oh, their content's horrible. I don't like their content. And the truth is behind that, you know, if someone is going to do a podcast, excuse me, where they're like farting for an hour, there is an audience for that podcast. There's an audience for every single thing out
Probably
in this
not
world.
on the mainstream one though.
Yeah.
Not yet, but
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, like
Yeah,
everything
fetishes.
else, when it's
Fetish,
coming
yeah.
to like,
Christin got me.
there's things from the underground are
the hub.
becoming mainstream these days.
You know, what you're saying is going to make my story fit perfectly, because you're talking about changing people's perception.
Mm-hmm.
And
I like that
this
too. Changing
one
what you think
story-
about when you wake up.
what's that? What?
Go ahead, Dad.
Oh, yeah, I was agreeing.
Oh, okay. I don't know what I was going to say. This story is about, it's just a simple little silly story, but it was when I lived in Ojai and had this house, and there was a sign and that kind of said that was the numbers for their house and my house and our house. And I didn't do anything about it. It was kind of old, and I was going to put up a rock and make it really, really cool. And then one day the neighbors, one of the daughters of the neighbors home from college, decided to go and buy some plastic, you know, Kmart type lettering and put the lettering on that sign, and it looked like crap. And I came down the driveway and I felt violated. Like, how dare she do this to me? Doesn't she realize what I'm going to do and who I am? This is my property, you know, and how dare, you know, and I got
That was probably her best.
And
That was probably her
and-
best idea, was to
and
get
she
plastic.
and she felt bad, and she, oh, sorry, I should have asked you, she should have just said something to me, but then it wouldn't have been so bad. Anyway, I left and I go to the gym and I worked out, and an hour later I totally forgot about it. The anger had subsided, that rage. Like you're talking about demons, that's that evil part of all of us that's inside of us, that if you take my stuff, well, you watch me get mad,
The
and so I
darkness.
came back and I looked at the sign and I went, that's a pretty cool sign. It actually divides. Now that'll keep the delivery guys, we're always getting our properties mixed up. It'll show me goes there and this one goes here. And then I felt kind of silly about it. And here's where I'm coming to the perception thing. What I was going to do, my overall plan that she ruined, was I was going to build this rock sign, and it would match the rock
Fence.
mailbox that I was going to build up on the road on Signal. Well, on Signal, I'd look down and there was all these people that didn't care about their mailbox. They looked like entrance to trailer parks. And yet there was some of us that were building these $1 million houses, and then there would be trailer park signs. And I thought, I'll contact these people and see if I can't build a rock mailbox for them. And so here's what happened. I go up there and I realized that sign and that mailbox wasn't about the sign or the mailbox. It was my grandiose, my shame stretched so far and wide. I was ashamed of my neighbors' mailboxes because it might reflect on me. And I had to I wanted to change this mailbox, and I just stood there and I realized, oh my God, you could call it ego, you could call it whatever, but my
I love that.
was grandiose. It was huge. And I got to see a glimpse of it in that moment. So when you said perception, that's what, in 1 second, I shifted my perception. It was still the same goofy looking sign with the same plastic letters, but the perception was it now directed the drivers of UPS to my house and to their house. It had a function, and that was very creative. I mean, that was, I apologized to her for being an asshole, which most of my life I spend a lot of my time apologizing to people for being an asshole, but that just...
It's more than most people do. Most people are just jerks and they never apologize.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
It's what Brad was talking about. He's trying to give people a perception of creativity. And a lot of us will get locked into, oh no, I'm creative because I'm an artist, or I make my living writing. So therefore, how dare you try to self-publish your stupid ass book just because you can get it published that you pay for, no one will ever read it because there's no distribution. Don't worry about that. That's me judging people rather than looking at, oh, they're going to get their story out and maybe only 10 people will read it. Who gives a shit?
Maybe that's all they care about. If it reaches like
right?
one person.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think about it, like if you look at the internet as it is, I'm gonna give you a pop star, because I like to talk about that. I don't know if you know of him, but little Nos X, right? He's like this amazing like LGBT artist who's mainstream. He's been doing SNL. He was just on the Grammys. He's very controversial, but when it comes down to it, he started on the internet as just a beat maker. And then one day he came up with that song, Old Town Road, with Miley Cyrus's dad.
Oh, I
Billy
heard
Ray.
that. That's him?
Yes.
Oh
and
my
he wasn't even
God.
connected to a record company. But what it was he had this drive, knowing he believed in himself full force. And he was like, I don't know what y'all are doing, but I'm doing this and I'm going to make this happen. And that's exactly what he did. He stayed true to his vision and kept pushing through, because if you're doing it right, you're going to have to face people coming forward at you. And going back to Larry, what Larry was saying about everything, I love that story, because a lot of us in this world live with an egoic perception where we sit there and it's like we look at things, and that depends on where we come from. We forget to push that aside because we have our own things. I feel like that's a part of why the world is, up in arms at each other, and there's wars, there's civil wars in this country, is because everybody is looking at everybody else and being like, no. Okay, come back. Okay, there you are. But everyone's looking at everyone else and saying, no, stop, don't. But the thing is, there's certain things as a creative artist that you have to just keep going, have your vision, keep trying to get it out there and believe in yourself. You have to shut off the critics, and you have to learn to handle how people react to you. I mean, myself, I've dealt with a lot of different reaction because as a non-binary, I am a non-binary human. I see myself in the middle of being I have a masculine side, but I have a very strong feminine side. And with that, people they don't understand. Sometimes I'm questioning on my voice, on my laughter, on the way I do things. And I've learned to actually enjoy and love that about me. But then also I look at the fact of, the artists that are actually out there, like we can watch TV all day long, but if you turn your head to the side, to the underground, to the artists that aren't completely known, those people are the ones that have it. Those people are the ones when they get older, these well-known like Renaissance artists, after sometimes they pass, they become amazing, famous people just because they were doing their artwork, staying with their vision, staying true to themselves, and keep going. Because we're always going to have to deal with an opposing side. So
I love that. I completely agree.
What was your life like as a kid? Did you get bullied or?
Oh yeah.
Did you feel unworthy or?
I came from, well, yes, I had to deal with a lot.
And in
my family, no, in my family, my parents were very undereducated with things. I was talking to someone about this earlier. I was on a show with someone where we were working out his challenges we were talking about his challenges with his own family. And when I was growing up, I felt born this way. I felt I always felt, until a certain point in my life, I felt very like trans inside, like a transgender. I felt like a female when I was younger. And my mother and my father, very homophobic. They didn't understand it. When I was 8 years old, and this is something that, my mother did the best she can, but she has changed over the years. And what's funny is today I called her at where she's at right now. She's at, she moved from a hospital to a rehab facility so she can get her legs and arms moving again. And because she's been bedridden for about 2 months. So when I showed up, she was on a ventilator. But when I was younger, when I was 8 years old, my mother, because mothers know who their children are, they're just connected. She grabbed me when I was 8 years old and shook me and looked at me and she said, stay away from gay people because they're pedophiles, they're drug addicts, they're this, they're that. And all the fears that she had because she never really had a friend that was a part of the LGBTQ. All she's seen was what images she was seeing on TV at the time, like from the late 60s Stonewall movement to the 70s Love Revolution. That's all she was seeing into the 80s. So
she's trying to protect you.
Yeah, she was. And I totally understood that. But that was something that challenged me inside of being able to open myself up to be completely myself. Now, as of today, we've had so many conversations and she's gotten to know me so well that today I called the rehab place. And what was funny is when I called her to get a hold of her, her nurse gets on the phone and they just got done with her physical therapy. And her nurse is like, talking to me. And I'm like, how's she doing? And, figuring out those things. And then the next thing you know, the nurse goes, you want to talk to her? She's right here. And I'm like, yeah, I would love to talk to her. And she goes, okay, takes the phone down and says, my mom's like, who is that? And she's like, oh, it's your daughter. And so she hands the phone to her. And I said to my mom, I'm like, it's your other daughter. And she goes, I had a feeling. And I was like, right. But now it's just funny because now she's like able to totally embrace. I mean, although she's almost 80 years old, but she can now embrace me completely and understand that I mean well. And there's no deviance within me where she thinks most of the gay community. And that's a lot of people out there who don't understand it. Everyone has their own story within that, but you know,
well, there's
anything, it's a fear.
And a lot of the perception that has been created about gays and the gay community is, well, let me give you an example. Like, I've got a friend who's really macho and is homophobic like crazy. And I would go, what in the frick are you worried about? You could like beat anybody up. And it's like, they're worried that if some gay guy touches them, they're going to turn gay. I mean, that's what I grew up with. When I've got a story. I was an artist when I was really young, and I used to sing and stuff like that. And I'm talking when I was 4, so really, really young. And I got on the television show for a painting, a drawing that I did. And I can remember kids in my class going, oh, fags are painters, you know, faggot, you know. I grew up in Sausalito, and we had beatniks, and everybody hated the beatniks and the beat movement. And the conservative people would call them, you know, they called everybody fag, you know, a fag. It didn't matter what. And artist, if you were an artist, you were queer. And well, my God, I'm not going to be an artist. I quit singing. I never sang again the rest of my life. And I didn't paint until kind of accidental, because it came out almost like I had to paint. And even though I risked oh my God, you must be gay if you're a paint, you know, and of course I couldn't think nobody could make a living as a painter. It's all bullshit. It's all the stories. This is why we call this the creatively unworthy, because we were told these lies by
growing up,
people that were homophobic, scared to death of every frickin' thing. One of my best friends in Cambodia, he's still there. One of my best friends in Cambodia is gay. He's smarter than almost anybody I've ever met. The guy got a job from Google right out of college. He's like tremendously brilliant. And we'll go bike riding, and we make fun of each other. I get to make fun of him, and he makes fun of me because all of the girls that I know, we drive by and go, hey, hi. They all know me, and I wave, and he doesn't pay attention to that. And it's just this. So I have so much fun around this guy. Now, oh my God, I've got my friends who, if I told them this, they would be like, oh, how you can't have gay friends. You must be gay if you have gay friends. It's like the most ridiculous bullshit that my age group grew up with. And your mother's kind of she's older than I am, but she's still in that age group. And then my parents, Jesus Christ, you know, they were worried about being communists. Were all gay. You know, remember back in the day you know, if you were an artist out in Hollywood, you were a communist, you know, and they immediately assumed that.
Well, and that's just how life is. I mean, if you think about it, it took the civil rights movement to really kind of move us forward within that. But I see it this way when it comes to people with their issues, whether it's a problem with sexual preference or a problem with color, that at the end of the day, it comes down to fear. And also there is a battle. There's a battle within them that they're not accepting of themselves, because a lot of people are living on the outside and not within, and finding who they truly are. They're looking on the outside and seeing these people that have their lives, that their grass is a little bit greener, and they're like, well, I need to be over there. And so sometimes, and I feel like that's where the modern term hater came from, is there's always someone out there that's hating on somebody else because their lives are different than another person's life, but they're not seeing it that way. They're just putting their energy into a negative pattern when really it comes down to who they are inside. And I mean, when it comes to people who have fear of homosexuality, there's so many shades to that, because sometimes people have fear of homosexuality because within them, they may have a tendency, or they're curious about it, or they've had, sometimes some men actually become curious, try it out, wasn't their thing, and then they live their life with this guilt and shame of trying that out. But everyone's story is totally different.
And you can also map that on to being an artist.
Yep.
That they maybe they have this. I found that almost everybody I met really wants to be a writer. They want to write their story. And very, very
every
few.
single person. It's like,
yeah, every single person.
especially my
very
age
few
group.
do. Very few do. What stops them? What really stops them? There's some conversation. I sincerely believe there's good and evil in the world, and it resides inside us. It's something that Jordan Peterson talked about when he was talking about how moved he was when he went to the gas chambers in Germany. And I felt the same way. I went to Dachau, and I had never felt the way I did. I felt all the deaths of all of those people, because they still had I went there in the early 70s. So that was only like 30 years after World War II. And there was a box of all the ashes there. And it was, the crematoriums are still the way they were when they closed they opened that last door and took the bodies out. And I felt that same feeling in Phnom Penh at the killing fields out at where all these people were executed. And I could feel them. I could feel their presence. And it's a feeling like I've experienced it before. I experienced it in combat, the death. And it's not represented on television anywhere near it. Is like, you'll see two detectives. There's this new female detective, and she's really hot. She's got her shirt open, and they're just at this gun. These people had just been murdered, and she's stepping over the body, and the other detective comes in and he's trying to hustle her, see if he can't get a date, and she puts him off. They're walking over the bodies, and I'm going, you fucking assholes. It is not what you feel when people are dead. I don't care if it's the mafia and their bodies are laid out. You can't act that way. That's a false representation. And those are the kinds of things that get represented throughout gay communities, that's the way it is. And it's not the way it is. Not at all the way it is. Sorry for getting heavy. Don't mean to get too heavy, but that's just I see false truths. That's been the big thing this last year, especially with, these guys that follow Donald Trump and just want to believe a lie, an outright lie, which this is dangerous, because this is the people that were in Nazi Germany were ordinary people like you and I and Kristen and Rebecca, and they were normal people, and they went along with it. You'll never meet anybody who was ever a Nazi. Nobody ever claims to be that. It's bullshit, because it's inside of all of us. And as long as you know that gives you, as long as you know that evil is inside of you, it gives you a power, but a power like a martial art power, not one you're going to use, but one that's there, and you control it and you know it. And because it's like I said, when I went to Dachau, that came up. I felt it. I felt this thing inside of me that
I have something to add to that.
Please.
And real quick, I'm going to use the restroom because I really have to go.
Go to the restroom quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really morbid, and we're talking about all this stuff, but I'm like,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, but
no. I feel bad for leaving in the
it.
middle of it, because it's like, I don't want to be insensitive.
just go. It's okay.
Okay, while she's gone, I'll finish my thought. So you talk about the darkness inside. Evil is inside and light is inside.
Right.
Good and evil are both there. I've been told it's all about which one you feed. Like,
yes.
There's two wolves inside you, and which one you feed and which one do you starve? And it's a constant every day you have to make a choice. I'm gonna be good today. I'm gonna try and do good. I'm gonna try and do good.
Or becomes a habit. You know, you're just
Or it's but it's even if it's an unconscious choice, it's still you still have a choice. Am I gonna drive my car into oncoming traffic for no reason? Am I gonna follow that person home because they cut me off, or am I just gonna wave them ahead and move on?
Tear the sign down, or am I going to understand that the sign has some value?
Yeah. Am I going to judge others, or am I going to sit down, shut up, and try and learn something from these people I don't understand, instead of killing them? I don't struggle with killing people, but you know what I mean.
I understand. No, we understand.
What? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
We there? Woo! I'm going to run to the restroom too while she's...
Okay. Well...
Real quick.
I'm here. My phone charge. Yeah.
Are you almost dead?
Kristen,
I have a minute ago. I have 2%. I was trying to plug it in, but because we're recording, the sound doesn't come out of my phone right now. So that's why, you noticed I was getting real close.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead and plug it in real quick.
Yeah, Kristen, we might just have her end it right now, and then we could bring it back or something.
Yeah. Okay, let's pause it. I don't know if it'll let me.
Yeah, because let me plug in.
She has to be the one to stop it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tell
Kristen,
her.
why don't you go
Okay,
and
I'll be right
tell
back.
her to stop it.
Thank you.
This is a good talk.
Right? You guys are doing great.
I still can't hear you. I love your ukulele. I have so much to say, too. I also have these art oracle cards. And I pulled 3.
Okay, you have to move them slow because things are blurry because of your phone.
Ooh, hold on, Larry. I can't hear you because, like I said, since it's recording, I want to see if I can work with something.
Hey, Rebecca, we probably should end the recording because Kristen's gone. His phone is almost out.
Oh, okay. So we'll wrap it up, and we can do another one some other time.
Yeah, we need to have you on a computer, Brad, not on your phone.
When we get the full Brad experience.
Because it's boom.
He's okay, I'll stop it. Everybody's gone.
Yeah, once
You're excused, 'cause you're always late, overweight, and totally rude, honey.